Well, following that, we've got comedy for you in Never the Twain, and at 8:30 in Hotel, would you believe, it's centred around a film crew who are there filming a soap opera. That's some of the programmes on offer tonight. There's plenty of drama for you today. In fact, we start with it now, which means the Sullivans.
Entertainment for Thursday night on Thames. At 7, Knight Rider and a deadly supercar. At 8, Never the Twain and an unusual antique.
Mr. Benton said he bought it from the guy who shot it.
That poor beast was not shot. It was pecked to death by moths.
At 8:30, drama along the corridors of Hotel, when dangerous obsessions come between the staff and the glamorous guests of San Francisco's most luxurious residence. Hotel at 8:30. Highlights for Thursday night on Thames.
The Arch of Triumph is one of the truly great love stories to come out of World War II, with Anthony Hopkins and beautiful Leslie Ann Down. Robert Preston, at 67, stars in a drama about an older man's love for a younger woman. James Mason always played the bad guy. Friday's documentary is all about his career as a screen tyrant. The legendary Bruce Lee leaps onto your screen. Get the highlights and the details of over 200 hours of entertainment on ITV and Channel 4.
This week's TV Time.
Well, hello again. This year has been a really bad year for train crashes. Is it a coincidence that the accident rate has risen sharply, or are the cuts affecting our safety on the railways? Daytime will be in its usual siding at 2:30. Be an old buffer and join us.
Don't forget, we've got an afternoon of drama ahead for you. Begins really at 1:30 with Falcon Crest. But now it's time for our news. In 20 minutes, all the local Thames area news. First, the world picture from the studios of ITN at 1 o'clock.
This is the news at 1 from ITN with Leonard Parkin.
Hello, good afternoon. As the TUC prepares to meet the Energy Secretary and to intervene in the miners' strike, they've had a message from the miners' executive. We'll go along with your initiative and we're ready to negotiate. The executive are meeting without Mr. Scargill, who was in court at Rotherham facing charges of obstruction. Other stories today are... Today from ITN will be news at 5:45 this afternoon. We'll be back with you same time tomorrow. Hope you'll be there too. Goodbye.
Asbestos alert, now the whole tube network is to be checked. The Home Office announced an inquiry into conditions at Holloway Prison. And police launch a new weapon in the war against pickpockets. Good afternoon. The search for asbestos and fire risk building materials on the London Underground lines is to be extended to the whole tube network. It follows the Oxford Circus fire 3 weeks ago when an asbestos and bitumen compound was exposed. London Regional Transport say all building materials will be checked for fire and health risks and admit the move is a major undertaking. The government looks set to press ahead with plans to abolish the GLC, despite coming close to a humiliating defeat in the Commons early today. Rebel Tories forced a vote on an amendment to the bill and were only 23 votes away from victory. About 24 Conservatives joined the rebellion, demanding that the council be replaced with a directly elected London-wide body.
We will not accept that London, the flower of cities all, that London, the greatest metropolitan city in the world, should be without a directly elected council.
The GLC leader, Ken Livingstone, hailed the narrow vote and said it showed the government couldn't rely on the support of their backbenchers. A special review is to be carried out into conditions and facilities inside Holloway Jail, the country's biggest women's prison. It follows concern about stress and tension and recent cases of self-mutilation among prisoners. The review, ordered by the Home Office, will look at prison numbers, how much time prisoners spend locked up, and whether Holloway should keep its specialist services dealing in drug therapy, psychiatric care, and the mother and baby unit.
I think our task needs to be better defined. And I think that, by and large, the public, and I mean the public, will have to make up its mind what it wants women prisons to be like and what it wants us to do. Because this place costs quite a lot of money to run, and we are accountable to ministers and through them to the public. And that is my responsibility.
Police still can't identify all the victims of the M25 pile-up on Tuesday because many of the dead were found in the remains of other people's cars. Police say people whose vehicles crashed tried to crawl to safety but were killed by the fire away from their own cars. The section between junctions 5 and 6 that's been closed since the crash should reopen in an hour and a half. The delay has been caused because parts of the road have had to be resurfaced. Some items in brief now. 3 armed raiders escaped with £9,000 after beating up staff at the ticket office of Hither Green Station this morning. They had smashed their way through an anti-bandit screen. The backlog in the West London postal overtime dispute has now reached 400,000 after nearly 200 workers walked out of sorting offices yesterday. Over 100 boxes are sealed, and the post office says some mail may not be delivered before Christmas. The Transport Secretary, Nicholas Ridley, has given the GLC a week to reply over their plans to ban heavy lorries in London at night and at weekends. If they don't, the government say they'll stop the ban. Voters have been going to the polls in the by-election at Enfield Southgate. 9 candidates are fighting the seat, which was held by Sir Anthony Berry, who was killed in the Brighton bombing. A chauffeur at Clarence House, the London home of the Queen Mother, will appear in court next month, charged with having a survival knife as an offensive weapon. 6 pet cats perished in a fire at Finchley this morning. Their owners were rescued from the blaze in Littleton Road. Surgeons at the Brompton Hospital have connected a tiny pacemaker to the heart of a 10-month-old girl. It's the first time the American-made pacemaker has been used in Britain, and the heart of the patient, who comes from Herne Bay, is said to be working perfectly. Plans to build more than 250 homes in the grounds of the Tadworth Court Children's Hospital are being discussed by local councillors tonight. More than 1,000 people have objected. And Lord Flowers is to be the next Vice-Chancellor of London University, the biggest university in the country. He succeeds Professor Randolph Quirk. Now, football. Luton's pre-Christmas shopping spree continues. They've just spent £250,000 on Birmingham's Nick Harford. The 25-year-old striker is the Hatters' 3rd signing in a fortnight. He'll make his debut at Leicester on Saturday if he's recovered from a leg injury. Finally, West End pickpockets could be in for a lean Christmas this year because the police are using a new system of intelligence gathering to stamp out thefts. Every year, 5,000 dippers are arrested in Oxford Street, and the hordes of shoppers are their victims. But at Marylebone Police Station, in-depth files have been built up on known pickpockets, and the information is being given to squads of plainclothes detectives.
It's necessary for us to employ a large number of plainclothes officers, not only in the street itself, but also in the stores, in an endeavour to prevent and catch, if they're committing these offences, the villains of these offences.
And Thames weather. Cloudy with light rain at times, the high 8 centigrade, that's 46 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's all for now. Andrew Gardner and Steve Clark will be here with the full roundup of Thames News at 6 o'clock, and I'll be back with the late headlines at 10:30. But don't forget, before then, you can join us for our mid-afternoon summary, which is, as usual, at 3:25. Join us again.
Comedy tonight at 8 o'clock in Never the Twain.
What the hell's that?
That's a wapiti.
You got any blinds?
This is an antique shop, not a haberdasher's.
To pull down. I don't like exposing myself.
Get on, and he jumped out the plane, leaving the rest of you to your fate.
The swine!
Yes,
Flight of Fancy in Never the Twain, tonight at 8 on Thames.
Hopefully I'll have your company this afternoon. A lot of entertainment coming away with the accent very much on drama, but let's quickly go through it for you. At 2:30 you can join Sarah Kennedy in the studio audience for today's edition of Daytime. That takes us on to University Challenger 3, so if you fancy a battle of the brain box, frankly I can never get any of them right. That's the time for you and Bamba. Thames News headlines, 3:25. Then at 3:30 we go to Australia for Sons and Daughters, and that takes us up to Children's ITV. And my chat has taken us up to Falcon Crest, which means the vineyards of Southern California.